Hi, I'm Steve Maestre, and this is Conversations in Tourism. Steve Maestre was born in Belize, in the old Belize City Hospital, which was by the seaside, there by the fort, and grew up in Belize. Went to high school, grade school, and part of high school in Belize. Went away for college and came back. Got married, have 4 wonderful children. So I'm a family man, and in the 70s I had a desire to get into the hotel business. And that's pretty much where my career started, in the hotel industry. It was not easy back then. There were a lot of difficulties. There was really no tourism, or very little. People didn't look at it seriously. Funding was extremely hard to get, particularly for tourism, because restaurants and tourism were considered almost a failure investment. Interest rates were extremely high. So I got into the tourism industry initially at the Radisson across the road. I started as management trainee, worked my way up to assistant manager. I left the Radisson and I spent almost 2 years running the Don Quixote Hotel in Consejo. And then I decided to start my own hotel project. I had really tried from earlier on, but funding was impossible. And Craig Griffith at Scotiabank said, "Well, Steve, I'll take a chance on you." And we decided to build a 6-room hotel, which is right across the road there. It was called the Villa Hotel. And interest at that time was actually 23.5% interest, a killer. I had tried to get funding from DFC, but that wasn't available. I built the hotel, 6 rooms, and the restaurant, and it did well. And within probably 6 months, DFC did come in and did refinancing back down to 6%. And that's pretty much where my history started in the tourism industry. I think we achieved a lot. I think at that time, I was a founding member of BTIA. I was the first vice president. And then I was a founding member of BHA. I think what we were really trying to achieve initially was a voice for the tourism industry. Tourism had not been looked at seriously. We needed a voice to gel the private and public sector. And as we all know, that when many voices speak, you get heard. And that's where and when we developed the BTIA. We achieved a lot. Actually, Destination Belize was started under my tenure as president. We did a lot of trade shows. We opened the doors I would go, we would take members, and it was a struggle. We actually carried all the boxes of advertising material and then Destination Belize physically on the airplane, and we would take them to Berlin. So it was really a struggle at that time, but we achieved a lot. We brought public and private sector much closer together. What we tried to achieve and still haven't, I don't know if we ever will. Hopefully one part of it we will. We tried to achieve direct flights from Europe. Always a struggle. And we always had a problem with long-term, low-interest financing. It has continuously kept many people out of the industry and struggling to get into the industry. So I would say of what we didn't achieve, those are probably the two biggest points. In some respect, as I said, many of the things we wanted to achieve, we did. We brought public and private sector together. Belize was not known at that time. It was where was Belize. We've all heard that. Now, if you go outside of Belize, people will say, I want to go to Belize, because we've been heard. So the BTB has come a long way. I think we'll go even further now. We have a minister that has a lot of experience in tourism. I think that'll be good. Well, I like the way you started. It is a monument, and I think there should be funding for monuments, but we'll get back to that. Well, I had the villa. I had built the villa. I actually brought in a crew and constructed what is the villa wing of the Radisson. I think many people forget the Gulf War, the United States recession, and where I was doing well, Radisson was doing well, what is now the Princess was doing well, Bellevue may have still been doing well. Tourism went from probably 70–80% occupancy to almost nothing. And that's when I sold what was then Holiday Inn Villa Belize to the Radisson team, group that owned it, and went to work for the Radisson. I actually became the managing director of the Radisson at that time. And I left there to come to do the Great House. And at that point we raised the building 4.5 feet, and we created the structure you see now. The building was in my family for a long time. Initially for my uncle, my father bought it over, and my family was living upstairs. Raised my kids here. In fact, 2 of my daughters were married here. So that was nice. And we lived upstairs, and I decided to raise the building and create the rooms, the 16 rooms we have now. That was about 21, 22 years ago. And the Great House has been as the Great House is today for that long. Yeah. Well, I think the COVID shock is a double whammy. In both instances, it's almost like you turned off the light. And in neither case is it going to be a light switch situation. I think we all know that. There are people I know, we continue to say they're pent up, they want to travel. Yes, but after the COVID is taken care of with the vaccine, in my opinion, with the vaccine, we need to understand the economic situation, the economic effect on the average traveler that would come to Belize. I think we may find, and I could be wrong, that the high-end traveler, the resort travelers, will start to travel sooner. And I think the other properties may struggle for a longer time. I think we're going to see, because COVID has changed the world, they've changed how we do business. I think we're going to see so much more online and live streaming, and that where you may have in the past had business people, business travel, I think that's going to be hurt for a long time, if not permanently. So the recovery, the struggle for recovery, I think will be a long time. I think it'll be longer than a lot of people realize. Hopefully the trickle back will be enough to sustain most, if not all, of the industry until there is enough to start really making a profit. If I was to give advice, and I don't know that I'm one to give advice. I don't know that anyone is really, but from my experience, if I was to give advice to the people in this industry, first of all, the level of people in the tourism industry today are significantly different than the early days. We have major resorts. We have people with massive hotel experience in the modern world. And I'm sure they know where to look for their guidance. But I think Belize, as bad as the whole situation is, the COVID, the US economy, the world economy, I think Belize is, if you can say we're in a good position, we're in a good placement in the world, in that we've got a rejuvenated tourism board, we've got the BTIA, we've got the BHA, all of which have good knowledge of the industry. They put us out there. We're still in close proximity to the United States. We're an easy travel destination. We've come up with the gold standard for the hotels, which shows that we are responsible. Tourists are certainly looking for that. So as far as the product is concerned, I think we are placed in a position to grow as fast as can be expected in a world that's struggling. I think we'll benefit from that. I firmly believe, though, that one of the same things I mentioned much earlier on, and if we could find a way, I know in fact government, I think, is putting in a structure to make long-term, low-interest loans available. That is absolutely critical to the survival, particularly the small, locally, fully Belizean-owned properties like the Great House. If we don't, we will unfortunately see these properties finally go by the wayside. And I don't think that's what we really want to happen, because not only we lose the Belizeans having a major hold or any hold at all in the tourism industry, we lose what has become really the benchmark for the tourism product in Belize. It's a Belizean product. And if we lose that, we lose a lot. So hopefully we can get those things going, and the small entrepreneurs can start, and the small business people, small hoteliers, small travel agents, small tour operators can all survive. I think the outlook is as good as can be expected, and I think Belize has positioned itself to take advantage of it. It's absolutely essential that we have a strong BHA, BTIA, and tourism board. Essential. And I think right now we've got good players in all of these organizations. These organizations can keep watch on what is happening in the industry worldwide. They understand where we need to go, how we need to go as things develop. They understand how to target our markets. Now, I know the bigger hotels, the big franchise hotels, they have their teams. But understand, when I speak about getting the product forward and surviving, I think strongly still about the local Belize entrepreneur, the local Belize small hotel rooms. I think that's critical, and I can't say that enough. It's important that these people survive. The small tour operators, it's important that we don't all get swallowed up and eventually the real Belize product has disappeared. So I think that right now we've got a good team in the BTB, the BHA, the BTIA, and I think they've come to where they all work together. And that's critical. And with that, as I said earlier on, that will put us in the right position in a bad situation worldwide to at least get our fair share of the market, whatever that may be in the future.